Hey guys, welcome back to doing some more Hytale Dreams of Home. It's me here, the Heart or Keiko Comics. And it's been a couple days, nothing too long, nothing too crazy. Definitely gonna do more building stuff if I can get around to it. For the adventure map, but just felt like trying to do it shorter. It is, 1 a.m. and have plans tomorrow, so I don't want to be too involved on something. I just want to relax and, mill about and do stuff. Like maybe tend to a farm or something. You can definitely see that I'm going for a much smaller version of Castle Sloc Gorm with this build that I've got here. Other than that, though, I do wonder how long I'll even be keeping this build. Guess it depends on how long it takes down to... Oh boy! Depends on how long it takes for World Gen V2 to come out. And these are all one stage away from being mature. Okay. Right. Let me see what I've even got down here. I got the portals. I can make tankards now. Of course. Still don't have really any honey. I need 100 memories. How are my memories? Oh, I need to visit the temple. By the time I hit, get back from hitting Zone 4, or whenever that happens, I'm going to absolutely be ready to make more advanced recipes, probably, for seeds and stuff. There's also that Chork camp. I could probably go and just bulldoze it real quick. Or at least its inhabitants. Would be nice to have a fire rod just for the... Is my computer okay? Yeesh. I might just need a restart. Anyway. Easy carrot harvest. Thank you. Yeah, well. Oh wait, that's right. My render distance that I turned up for the adventure map. That's probably what's eating my processing. Are they out hunting? I guess I am supposed to be able to just face those guys with a crude sword currently. In current game balancing. At least as far as these small camps go. Anyway. I did see a spider, so I might as well steamroll it. 2 spider. That's a bear, that's a wolf. Okie dokie. Let's go and turn in those memories. Okay, water lilies. Okay. Oh yeah, he might be back. There he is. Not even a challenge anymore. It does probably help me that I'm able to just blast him from distance. Specific. I guess I'll trade with you. That's right. That's right. All right, 93 memories. So I've almost got access to. Okay, I was already. Harvest trophy. Oh well. Anyway. Back home we go. Oh. Got a little bit of stuff here and there. Skeleton. So, something I want to try and my hand at soon is actually getting around to making constructible battle assistant NPCs that would, if nothing else, it would give the life force crystals a proper use. I mean, there is kind of already a use for them in the form of the Sanguine Pendant, but the Sanguine Pendant isn't exactly obtainable in current vanilla Hytale gameplay, because you require Mithril to craft it. Do skeletons respawn here? I think they do. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just bulldoze them then. I wonder when they'll be doing the actual chapter updates. Will they wait for World Gen V2 for that? I really need to try my hand at that some more too. I made the funny end of time dimension, but well, I didn't really get too far beyond that. I think there's better documentation I could actually use to aid my learning of it. Especially now I'm seeing that people have gone in the like galaxies and singularities with the World Gen V2 stuff. There's also a matter that seems like they still haven't filled out all their hiring positions with it yet. I mean, I don't want to necessarily be restricted to that kind of a role if I ever do get hired, but I imagine they'd probably let me find my own way to actually contribute, whatever that way may be. Since they're not some big corporation that would be butthurt over, you know, people being more than they are or anything. Rather, they're, you know, they just kind of want to see excellence and make excellence and have people on board who, you know, are passionate about the game like they are. I really do gotta get this sorted better. Oh well. It's a little extra cobblestone, but not much. But yeah, yeah, Sanguine Pendant. Currently the only real thing that uses life force shards. And part of that's because the life force shards are, I actually get all this developed properly, this is going to be more like a tech mod than just some RPG thing for one. I need to go back down south and actually set up a portal so that I have a quick way from here to there. So I guess I'll be doing that today. Oh, well, not before I check my crops again. And probably turn a bunch of corn into life essence. Maybe even just upgrade my farmer bench. All like that. Okie dokie. Yeah, that. Okay. No, I don't really need turnips or cauliflower. Yeah, I can just convert to cauliflower. Alright, so now we need 30 eggplant, 30 pumpkin. And yeah, you have to discover. So this means I have to expand the farm again. And probably means I'm gonna have to get me a new hoe. Oh, maybe I'll be fine. Okay, these... Oh, not eggplant. Unless that's just what we, call eggplant, is the aubergine thing. I don't know. Anyway. He's back and actually start heading south proper this time. I really do want to actually, like, finish my castle. Might try to do that this weekend. I'll definitely be able to get better progress on it than I did on either version of Tale of Sun Sword. In a really small amount of time, too. I think the first iteration, a lot of what was holding me back was not just a lack of knowledge, but my hesitance to try and actually build it solo. Because back then I was just, like... God, that was back in summer and autumn of 21. Oh right, I've got... Was that an oak? Anyway. I might be able to make oak saplings now that I've done the hardwoods. Anyway. Yeah, so... Original Tale of Sun Sword, I definitely had... It's always started in South Sloc Gorm. That's just been how it's been. But in the original Tale of Sun Sword, I think I've probably said this somewhere before. I definitely mentioned this before. Don't know if I talked about this on video or anything. Oh, that's not my backpack. But original Tale of Sun Sword. That map, which I think was discontinued after 1.20 hit. The original map there started in Southern Sloc Gorm, but you started along the Silverfoot Road, well, South Silverfoot Road, in the what became Bunnykid's treehouse. Which more recently, yeah, that's just Bunnykid's treehouse, and I can talk more about Bunnykid later when I actually start like developing her NPC or something. She is definitely a funny bunny. Oh boy. And that's, for anyone wondering, no, that's not her actual name, but it's the only name she really has, because of her. You know what? I'll just go ahead and talk about her for a second. Cause she's yeah, she's a funny bunny, and also a fey bunny, and her idea of protecting her freedom was straight up erasing her name from all memory. Not just her own, but like all memory. So outright just kind of just became nameless Fae Bunny. And not like, you know, just, you know, her well, yeah, no, she just kind of is nameless. In a sense. Like, we have something we can refer to her as, and that's Bunny Kid, and admittedly, like, that's a really dumb reason how I even came to that name, because I was literally just... Oh, this is fun. Literally just the naming scheme of a lot of my DDO characters, Dungeons & Dragons Online, which is where she, you know, I first actually conceptualized her. That's its own story of, well, it's not too long of a story. Basically, with that, yeah. She has her origins in DDO, that's why she is commonly associated with having a lot of D&D related skills or spells, especially of the divine and illusory nature. Because on DDO, she is straight up a favorite soul class, which is, for those of you who are, you know, not familiar with Dungeons & Dragons Online and are more like familiar with, do you mind? For those of you who are more familiar with 5e and, you know, pen and paper and everything, the favorite soul class is basically... Honestly, I've actually built a close representation of how she is on DDO in 5th edition pen and paper recently, like a couple weeks ago. And for her class... For her class levels and stuff, she is... First level is Cleric. And then the other 19 levels are Sorcerer. Oh boy, I am getting swamped. That is bullshit. Okay, no. Literally two-tapping me. Okay. Couldn't out-heal. I was at 40% and it one-shot me. Anyways. So, void creatures jumping me on my exact location aside and doing ludicrous amounts of damage because balanced. On that side, so Bunny Kid, yeah, her actual 5th edition pen and paper build that I have of her, level 20. First level is Cleric, which gets her shield proficiency, and she's actually a Twilight Domain Cleric here. So that gives her some handy crowd control and, you know, this and that useful spells for her playstyle, as well as defensive options like proficiency with, I think she's proficient with medium armor. Might be proficient with all armor types, but that's kind of obsolete given that she has a really garbage dex and strength stats. So her armor class isn't horrible, but it's not great. And she does use a shield. She definitely uses a shield. But yeah, the idea is like for her sorcerer subclass. Yeah, you guessed it. It's divine sorcerer, divine origin. So she's a largely charisma focused caster that also charisma focused caster that has a bit of specialization in a variety of different types of magic. I tried going for illusion stuff, but like, well, actually, she does have minor illusion, and on the one shot I ran her hand, she actually used that to pretty decent effect against a blue dragon. And yeah. I'm very new to 5e relative to my experience with Dungeons & Dragons Online, but essentially, she does have access to a spell called Blade of Disaster in 5th edition, which is like really fantastic for me because like it's almost what she gets to have in Dungeons & Dragons Online. Though Dungeons & Dragons Online is just a far cry from what, especially 5th edition pen and paper is like, because, dear God, any spell above 5th level, they don't want you using more than once. Unless you're just like, you know, really high level pure caster. Even then, like, God, I do not like the spell slot system. I can see the aspects of it that make it cool, but it is horrendously rigid. I do like cantrips though, and I also, well, I do also like Blade of Disaster, but that's in part because it actually earns a spot as being the, you know, that 9th level spell that is so actually strong, you only need to cast it once per dungeon. But that also means that her, you know, high level playstyle revolves around that spell almost purely. So I'm getting, you know, off of her even like what her origins are. But anyways, so for that one shot, she did actually lose the fight once, had a retry at the turn cycle before that because fighting a blue dragon solo is just not an easy thing to do in actual pen and paper because it's, you know, pen and paper is meant to be roleplay, and, you know, roleplay first with your friends, with a party that can synergize. I mean, you know, the party of 4 Sloc Gorm crew with Hero, Malcolm, Ein, Mirage completely decimated the encounter very rapidly, with a little bit of damage sustained. I think mostly to Mirage, because she was just, well, because I was throwing her in to the fray to abuse the fact that she was a, she's a level 17, was it Thunder Domain Cleric? Yeah, pure Cleric, yeah, Domain of Storm, whatever you call it. And she's got the whole thing of, oh, you hit me, I can use my reaction to force you to take a bunch of, you know, electric or sonic damage. Pardon my, you know, DDO lingo here, you know, because thunder and whatever the sonic equivalent is. But yeah, because there's like four CR3 guards and then some evil guy that, you know, has some magic items and turns into a blue dragon for phase 2. hallway with some pillars and goes out to a balcony. That was basically the encounter. The entire one-shot even. So, gold here I could be scooping up, but I'm not really starved for gold. So, anyways, back to, like, Bunny Kid, though. Yeah. Did rerun the Blue Dragon fight, only had to do that once, though, because I literally just made a stupid misplay when I was trying to use the, abuse. Basically what I had going on there was, so Bunny Kid, Iron, and Mirage for 5th edition D&D, they are all Heron race, which is a, I don't know how commonly used it is, but basically it's bunny people. And it's actually a really strong race to play as, especially if you like to move around while fighting. And especially if you like to just immediately get out of a bad situation, basically for free. Because of one of their key race feats, which is the Bunny Hop, which scales with their proficiency bonus. And of course, at that level of play, it's going to be maxed out. So, 5 feet of movement multiplied by proficiency bonus, so proficiency 6, that's 30 feet of movement. On a bonus reaction, that does not incur opportunity attack from anyone around you. And you get proficiency bonus number of uses, so 6 uses at max proficiency bonus. I love that move. Bunny Kid was definitely using that to hell and back, because like, how else are you gonna handle 4 CR-free guys and a guy that's slinging spells around, turns into a dragon, this and that. Yeah. Alright, so particular situation where I messed up was basically she slipped past the dragon guy, went onto the balcony, and basically barricaded the balcony with her Blade of Disaster spell, blocking the entrance. Granted, it was a small entrance and the dragon would have to squeeze through to actually, reach her. But it's a small balcony, and, without pulling some, funny bullshit and stuff, well, okay. The main reason I didn't actually have... The main 2 reasons I didn't actually have her, like, jump off the balcony or whatever was, one, it was just the space past the balcony was simply not mapped, and I just was like, yeah. But also, like, this is a fucking blue dragon. Okay, she can sprout eagle wings because of her, like, whatever, one of her feats or something, class feat, or subclass feat or whatever. Okay, not outstripping a blue dragon in movement speed, and that thing can, if that thing can close the distance as a really stupidly powerful breath weapon. Healing in Pen and Paper 5e D&D is pathetically weak unless you want to throw away all your good spell slots. Like when you're in 3-digit health, your best healing move is still gonna be like either Cure Wounds or some other like low-level healing spell, just because of how many times you can cast it. Your other options are gonna be at severe expense of your ability to do damage as a caster, or use other high-level options. Again, why I just do not like the spell slot system. Because if you want to use your good options, it closes off all your other good options. You literally just spawned right behind me. Anyway. Yep. Probably should be eating this anyways. Ah, yes. I know what you are. So, the misstep was, like, you know, the fight had already been dragging on. She was taking refuge on... Oh my god. I don't want to be in this fight. At least let me get my bow out. Okay. Can you not just reanimate right in front of me? Fuck. Well, at least I'm getting my void hearts. Wow. Anyway, so, on the balcony. So, she was taking pot shots at it with, some of her meta magic stuff, because the sorcerer is really funny and cool like that. Letting her double the range of a lot of her spells and stuff with, whichever spell it was. Or meta magic. In DDO, it'd be the enlarge meta magic, which also I should mention, yeah, her DDO build basically gets a free enlarge with every spell, but meta magics work differently in DDO too, because they don't use sorcery points and they aren't exclusive to the sorcerer class. But yeah, so balcony. She was chasing the blue dragon around, with a bunch of long range spells, as well as barricading herself on the balcony using the Blade of Disaster she spawned, because we were examining the rules on how that thing works, and it's like the only thing we actually got about its physicality is it requires an unoccupied space to be spawned into and to, I believe, move around with. It also has to be, can only move around into an area line of sight of the caster. So that's one thing. So because of that, we kind of ruled, you know what, yeah, probably gonna actually be a physical entity if it's gonna have that kind of a requirement. So therefore it would actually block the only way for the dragon to reach her, although the dragon would be able to attack through it with its, claws and teeth and everything if she got too close to the entrance. Oh my goodness, that is a hive. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that's home. Yeah. One of my home portals. Okay. Zone 4 down here somewhere? Or is this just gonna be crystalline depths again? So, bunnies, hold up. Hold up in her, on the balcony. Chasing the dragon around. He's, made it retreat, pretty far back into the hallway, away from the balcony. By slinging I think she had some scorching rays she threw at it, maybe. Maybe a guiding bolt here or there. I don't think I have the actual thorium armor poison resist. Let me check once these guys are gone. Mana regeneration is so weird in this game right now. Let's see. I do not have poison resist. Nope. And my mana is gone. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah. Dragon could not... Oh, wait, no. So Dragon basically couldn't reach her all that well. And she was taking pot shots at it with a bunch of spells that she could increase the range of almost freely. Not for free, but at the rate things were going, she was going to be able to chip the dragon down before it could actually do anything meaningful to her, while it was unable to reach her, more or less. And then she used Minor Illusion on basically to create a fake Blade of Disaster that she could use to continue guarding her position while making the real Blade of Disaster try to sneak its way towards the dragon for some cheeky pot shots, because that thing has really fucked up and crazy damage output. Like insane. And this place is infested. Oh goodness. I'm getting chitin alright. But yeah. Oh, they're even getting mauled by the plants. Anyway, so yeah, I got all that going on with Minor Illusion and everything. Dragon tries to attempt insight on both blades. Can't discern the difference between either of them at the range it was trying to do that from. And basically tries to approach her, taking cover around the basically just trying to get close enough where it could be in striking range without being in direct line of sight of the spells. And see, I think the misplay I did was actually have her move towards it for some ungodly reason. I think I was trying to do a touch spell, maybe? I don't recall. I know I was trying to make the Blade of Disaster go for the dragon and ended up getting hit with a combo of attacks that finished my hit off. Not immediate death, but incapacitation while you're solo may as well be immediate death in that situation. So, reran it and basically had her do a mad dash into the pillars using her bunny hop ability, because Bastard was guarding... Bastard Dragon was just guarding her way in and making it really hard for her to actually, move around. And basically the idea was like, because I made the Blade of Disaster try to move around sneakily, which is like, made it take an indirect path to the dragon when it was still inside, and then was just stuck with its pathetic, like 20 feet movement range. And yeah, the dragon just outpaced the freaking Blade of Disaster, so I was like, okay, you know what, I gotta make the most of this Blade of Disaster with my rapidly dwindling spell supply. So, dash into the pillars by the Blade of Disaster, dragon follows me, you know, comes after me and stuff. Alright, I'm gonna run the, you know, keep using all my bunny hops to force it to chase me, while I'm chasing it with the Blade of Disaster on its tail until it finally gives up the ghost, basically. So that, yeah, long freaking story about that one shot I did. But yeah, Bunny Kid's Origins though, like, yeah. Basically, I'd already had experience with a favorite soul class in DDO. Favorite soul, again, similar to cleric, but different in a few areas. Less spell variety, more spell points. Spell points is, you know, what you use as your casting resource instead of spell slots. Spell slots in DDO is just like, you know, what you're allowed to have on deck for what you can cast, basically. These are already full grown, huh? Well, how about that? And, yeah, so also, unlike cleric, like there's a lot of differences between favorite soul and cleric, more than there are differences between wizard and sorcerer, I'd say, because like wizard and sorcerer, they have similar dynamics. So wizard, you know, inscribe scrolls, add them to your spell book, you know, you can change what spells you have set at a shrine when you rest, because you have to use rest shrines to rest in DDO to, because otherwise you could just like, oh, I'm just gonna rest here and then, you know, fully recover SP HP, you know, on a fucking whim. Partially because there's also like some time dilation stuff going on with the resting system, because it's an MMO, and making it so that you actually take a like, you know, the long rest thing, you know, would be terrible pacing for an MMO if you were to enact it fully. And other, you know, it's designed to be more video gamey than a regular pen and paper is. Put it that way. Ooh, that doesn't even give proper wood. So I'm gonna have to find a zone 4 somewhere. Well, maybe it'd be up north then. But anyway. Yeah, so... Right, I can upgrade my armor bench now. Oop. Right. So... Anyway, yeah, cleric and wizard are two of the classes that can just change out their spells whenever they rest. Sorcerer and favorite soul cannot, because to change your spells as either of those classes, you basically have to go to your class trainer, and that's how you confirm your level ups too, is you have class trainer NPCs all over the different hub worlds and everything that you have to talk to, and that's how you can, you know, choose your classes, do your multi-classes and stuff. And yeah, for classes, namely, yeah, favorite soul, sorcerer, warlock, I think maybe also bard. You have to talk to your class trainer if you want to change your spell selection, and you go through you know, a spell exchange thing, and you can only do it so often unless you have special things like dragon blood to, yeah. Anyways, So favorite soul class, aside from the spellcasting differences that are similar to sorcerer and wizard dynamic, the class difference relation that favorite soul has is, one, it can choose wisdom or charisma for not just its spellcasting focus or stat, and it'll gravitate to whichever one you have that is stronger for that aspect, for your spell DCs. And I think also for SP. But I think second level favorite soul, you get to choose, as long as your class level is, no less than 50% favorite soul, you can choose either knowledge of battle or grace of battle, which makes it so your weapon attacks are hit and damage charisma or hit and damage wisdom. Not to mention there's also, I think around 5 or 6 favorite soul. You get Stout of Heart or Purity of Spirit, and that's increase of HP or SP respectively. But the main thing is you do not get a domain. You do not get a cleric domain. You do not get channel divinity. You do not get turn undead. And instead, you just kind of get favorite souls, more reliant on its spells and stuff, and then also like some of the favorite soul abilities are like, actually I'm not sure if cleric gets wings or not. I forget, but favorite soul gets leap of faith at around, I think, level 15 to 17. It gets leap of faith feat. 5 charges, 10 SP per use, launches you forward, and gives you feather fall. Basically what it does. So, mobility thing. I do not know where to find dry wood. Is this? This is not redwood. That is lots of ice skeletons. Hello. Anyway, so favorite soul, typically for a favorite soul build, if you want to do damage, it's almost purely going to become a white-based spell blaster, probably using the Angel Vengeance enhancement tree, spell-like abilities. Or else, your healer focus, that's your Beacon of Hope enhancement tree, has some really neat abilities and stuff. And then Cleric and Favorite Soul share a melee tree that is absolute garbage in terms of scaling. Never use it. You can do melee Cleric and Favorite Soul, but like you need to multi-class for that to work out. But there's also universal enhancement trees, which are basically stuff that, as long as you meet the requirements and have them unlocked, MMO and everything, you can use them. And for Bunny Kid, her build is primarily Fate Arc Illusionist. Has a crowd control instant kill generalist healer that's feat line. She gets, I give her tower shield proficiency because that's the best defensive shield type in the game. She doesn't get the heavy armor proficiency Cleric does because they just kind of arbitrarily decided that, I guess. Cleric gets heavy armor for free. Favorite Soul doesn't. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I'm still able to make Bunny Kid fairly bulky though, especially with that HP expansion. These bears are a menace, my goodness. I am not finding a zone 4 today, am I? Not with the already dwindling amount of time I've got left. I'll probably just find a place to dump my portal and return home. Oh, you're scared. Okay. I've got plenty of venom sacks on me. Bulldoze him. Okay, so... yeah, Bunny Kid. I basically just wanted to, you know... Oh, hey. Fey Dark Illusionist favors charisma, especially with the Shadow Blade weapon. And I can do a very easy charisma build as a caster if I go Favorite Soul. Plus, it gives me a lot of healing, unlike Sorcerer, unless I wanted to go Warforged Sorcerer, because repair spells. And, you know, no funny, you know, Divine Sorcerer subclasses or anything in DDO. And the other charisma options are Bard and Warlock. So, also kind of, you know, not easy access to healing. But anyway, so yeah, just kind of, yeah, wanted to experiment with it, and just like, you know, other reasons were involved. Ended up, yeah, just some you know, just called her Bunny Kid because wanted to be a bunny character. And then I didn't really have any name in mind for her, and I just like, yeah, I used, you know, the kid suffix for a lot of my characters at the time. Like, you know, one of my first reincarnated characters in DDO was Hylian Kid, because basically wanted to be, you know, basically Link, of course. But I also had like Fairy Kid, Forest Kid, you know, this and that. But yeah, Bunny Kid, you know, same naming trend. Just wanted to be some, you know, basically a bunny. As close, can't really be there's no actual bunny race in DDO, sadly. But oh well. Maybe one day they might consider Harengon, but maybe not, because it's apparently part of a very niche, you know, 5th edition stuff, I think. It's a, you know, ask your DM if include this totally not broken mobility race that can do a lot of things, with a deity that also likes to do a lot of things. But yeah, so yeah, back to Tale of Sunsword and stuff. Yeah, Bunny Kid is kind of part of that continuity now. Well, I mean, because it's my continuity, and she is a piece of my psyche at the end of the day. And yeah, the starting treehouse from the original Tale of Sunsword map, you know, basically may as well be your treehouse. It was kind of like already a Fey treehouse anyways, because like it's literally the house is the tree, not a, you know, house in a tree. No, the tree is the house, and the house is the tree. And also, I don't know where to find dry wood, so yay! I might have to. Let me see what the farming bench said on that again. But yeah, in the second iteration of Tale of Sunsword, at least where I actually got far enough to make the treehouse. Yeah, nah, Bunny Kid lives there. She sells you some booze and some magic stuff because she's a high-level caster. She can use teleport scrolls because you use magic device skill. Has a bunch of illusions and instant kills and stuff. Yeah, she's funny like that, and yeah, she's definitely a interesting individual. A little fast and loose in some areas, and you know, she lives to live, and I mean, in a sense, she almost kind of is an embodiment of fire, and that's one of her main elements outside of, you know, her light and dark instant kills and stuff, and her shadow blades. Is yeah, she you know, uses fire magic, and you know, her story, you know, carried on and became more and more developed, and then, you know, then came the whole Kronos arc thing in, you know, my Fez campaign with my friends from like 4 years ago. And yeah, she had a psyche split where she ran off with Kronos, and then though she didn't, that's a lookalike Fae Bunny. And then, well, that lookalike Fae Bunny isn't exactly evil. Had her own reasons for running off with Kronos, and then kind of just became like de facto acting leader of Sloc Gorm after Hero disappeared because of things that, you know, story stuff that don't even really matter to a lot of people, because that story doesn't exist outside of our still kind of ongoing campaign that admittedly did have a bit of a reboot. But yeah, and so yeah, now we've got Mirage, and Mirage is, you know, not so, you know, live in like again, when I compare the Mirage and Bunny Kid to their elements, it's a very direct comparison about how like they live their lives. Bunny Kid does not really need anything, you know, as long as she lives, she's gonna live, and she's just gonna, you know, do whatever the fuck she wants. She's a ball of fire, you know, not literally, but, you know, fire exists and is willing to live long term. It will just keep going unless you intentionally put it out, more or less, or the conditions for its survival are just removed. Mirage is lightning. She is point A to point B. She lives for her purpose, and if she loses purpose, she's, you know, she loses power, she loses focus in life, she destabilizes, and, you know, if left in that state too long, she will, you know, disappear. Which, fortunately, is not the path that she's going in right now, because she and Ein are kind of coexisting for each other in their story. Ein's not my character, but I heavily influenced him. Best friend, Wolf, yeah, is the one behind the whole Kronos arc. And yeah, I've got a lot of, yeah, I mean, I'm actively working with him on all that, the whole story with that and stuff, and he's still got the reins of that. I mean, he only recently told me about how he expects the conflict between Ein and Kronos to end, and for a YouTube audience, I'm not going to spoil that, because I'd actually like to kind of incorporate that into my works here, with maybe not this world necessarily, but modding and stuff. I mean, I want to make Hytale is like a great platform for me to, you know, make stuff on. I've got all these fancy weapons and stuff already. I've even got some character-specific weapons. Mainly, I've already got Kronos made, at least in weapon form, without any special abilities. I've got D Sun Sword. I've got Hero's Sanguine Star Keyblade, which, okay, I might not be able to publish anything with that because, oh no, it's a Keyblade, but whatever. And then, you know, I'm gonna have my other friend's stuff get in here later. At a time when I'm more certain that I can just do that without, like, time running out on me for things. Without, you know, worldly obligations being like, well, you can't do this anymore because it's not making money. Like, the whole point of, you know, Hytale's modding direction is that the modders would be able to make money, and unfortunately that does just happen to be in its infancy at a time where I kind of need it to not be, or else that I need to have a job, but, you know, you gotta play with the hand you're dealt, and unfortunately, the whole Save Hytale movement happened last year, not the year before or the year before that. But I was also in different places of my life in those years as well. So it's a mixed bag. And I'm also starting to lose my voice because I've been doing the episodes for a little too long yet again. But yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the original starting point on Tale of Sunsword was across the river a little bit, you know, a little bit north of the river. That was in second iteration, and that will be returning in this iteration, where we now have the Home of the Hero. Like, Home of the Hero did not even exist until the Fez campaign, when I just kind of pulled it out my ass of, like, you know, kind of would be nice, you know, what would be my ideal home for a standalone home somewhere out in the country or, you know, forest or whatever. Of course, you know, also came up with the Home of the Hero before I learned that the potential past life, or not even past life, but like alternate timeline memories that came in dream form that is inspiring all of this storytelling in the first place. I was like, oh no, like, the other me in that timeline lived in the castle that is Castle Sloc Gorm, or is represented by Castle Sloc Gorm. I don't actually know what the other timeline castle would have actually been called, only that it had, well, the entire world of that other timeline had sci-fi fantasy aspects to it. And I also know I can't verify that that other timeline or the memories are actually real or not on any, you know, modern scientifically real perspective. At this point, just let it be a story. So, and if there ever does come a time where we can prove all that shit, then great, whatever. Again, just let it be a story. Let it be my expression of, you know, who I am, rather than, you know, any sort of historical, you know, what actually happened. Anyway. Yeah. If all goes well, then in the coming months, you know, I'll actually get to have Tale of Sunsword become real. Not in Minecraft like I had originally envisioned, but here in Hytale. So, I think that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.